Thank you, Froji, for today's session. So earlier also we have tasted the nectar from your side. So today we are going to have the same. So Froji, please bless us with your transcendental talk on Srimad Bhagavatam to all the devotees.
Yeah, I don't know if I cannot promise any transcendental talk, but try to see what I can see from Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Gaurachandraya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhaya Tegirim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे Hare Krishna. So today we have a very important topic, which is the origin of Mother Ganga. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the descent of the river Ganges is mentioned in two specific portions. One in the fifth canto, 17th chapter, which is titled The Descent of the River Ganges, and also in the ninth canto, chapters 17, 18, and 19. They talk about primarily, they talk about how the sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Deva, the dynasty of Amshuman, and finally, before, just after the dynasty of Amshuman, in the dynasty of Amshuman. So that is the part where Ganga is covered. The topic of Ganga and how she is entering or Varsha. So let us first understand what is mentioned in the fifth canto, 17th chapter. Topic is entitled The Descent of the River Ganges. So it is mentioned here. This fifth canto, we must remember, has lots of gadya, not padya. There is a lot of prose in it. So reading it sometimes may be very, very difficult because there are some very long sentences. So Sri Shukavacha Tatra Bhagavata Sakshad Yajnalingasya Vishnor Vikramata Vama Padangushta Naka Nirbhinordvanda Kataha Vivaranenanta Pravishta Ya Bahya Jaladara Tat Charana Pankajavane Jayanaruna Kinjal Koparanjita Khila Jagadagha Malapo Sparshana साक्षात भगवत पादीति अनुपलक्षिता वाचो अभिधीयमानाति महता कालेन युग सहस्रोपलक्षणेन दिवो मूर्धानि अवततार यत् तद् विष्णु पदम आहुः. So it is mentioned here Dhrulog which is Dhrulog, which is situated as Vishnu Pada, Yat Tat Vishnu Padam Ahuhu. So first, when the Supreme Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, Yajna Lingasya, Sakshad Yajna Lingasya Vishnu, when he appeared as Vamana Deva in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj, he asked, as you all know, 3 paces of land, 3 foot of land, 3 feet of land. Then for the first he extended his left foot. First he covered the entire earth, which is 1 foot. Then he extended his left foot to the end of the universe. And Ravishtaya Bhakya Jaladhara Tat Charana Pankajavane Janaruna. So his left foot pierced the covering of the universe beyond the various material coverings of the universe. So through this whole of the universe, the water of the Karana Sagara, Karana ocean, the causal ocean, it entered the universe. And this is the entry of the Ganges river. So having washed the lotus feet of the Lord, Tat Charana Pankajavane Janaruna Kinjal Kopaga Kinjal Koparanjita Kila Jagadaka Malapo Sparshana Mala Sakshat Bhagavad Paditi. So because it has touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, they are covered with reddish powder. So Aruna Kinjalka Uparanjita. Aruna Kinjalka Uparanjita, colored by reddish powder, term kumkuma, at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So what happened because the Ganges river acquired a very beautiful pink color. It acquired a very, very beautiful pink color, and it is mentioned that every living entity, Jagad Agha Mala Apahopa Sparshana Mala. So every living being can purify his mind. It is mentioned here. Amala means completely pure. Apaha means destroys. Upasparshana, the touching of which. Aghamala, Aghamala means sinful activities. Aghamala Apaha. Akila Jagat Aghamala Apaha. Upasparshana Amala Sakshat Bhagavad Padi. So whoever commits any kind of sinful activities, when they bathe in the Ganges, by the touch of the Ganges, all these sinful activities are completely nullified, they're removed. Solna Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj mentioned sometimes that if you can't take bath in the Ganges, what to speak about taking bath? You just take the name of Ganga, 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 Ganga. 5 times you take the name Ganga, you get the same benefit. Of course, you don't go to places like Mayapur and then just say Ganga, Ganga, Ganga. You have a chance, you please bathe in the Ganga. That is very, very important. There are so many other places like Mahakumbh and other places where the Triveni Sangam happens. The Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati are meeting. So all these sacred rivers are meant to purify. Of course, it is also mentioned in the Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya, that bathing in the Ganga is very, very special. It's similar or even greater result is obtained by reading the Bhagavad Gita daily. So that is one angle. Another angle is that Gangare Parsha Hele Pachate Pavan Darshane Pavitra Kar Jeto Margon. The water of the Ganges will purify if you bathe in it. But those who are Vaishnavas, they purify just being seen by others. Just by their darshan, others get benefited. Darshane Pavitra Kare. So these are various angles to purification of sinful reactions. So it's mentioned here that every living being can purify his mind in the material existence of all kind of material contamination by touching the transcendental water of the Ganges. Still, the waters of Ganga remain pure. It's not like they become dirty. Though they are purifying people of so many contaminations, it is not that they become dirty. So it is mentioned that because the Ganges touches the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord directly before entering the universe, therefore she is known as Vishnupadi. Sorry, Vishnupadi. Vishnupadi, she received other names like Janavi and Bhagirathi later, not immediately. And Anupalakshita vacho abhidiyamanati. Abhidiyamanati meaning being called. Ati Mahata Galena, after a very long time, Yuga Sahasra Upalakshanena, about 1000 yugas, 1000 millenniums, the water of the Ganga descended on Dhruvaloka, the topmost planet, which is also called Vishnupada, because Dhruvaloka is situated at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. So the Ganga is called Patita Pavani. The water of the Ganga is called Patita Pavani. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. So externally, even a person who bathes in the Ganga, he becomes immune to all kind of disease. So Ganga Snana is recommended, very, very healthy. And internally, he develops a devotional attitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada mentions. And towards it is mentioned here that throughout India, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that many people benefit by bathing in the Ganges regularly. They are undoubtedly, Prabhupada says, purified both spiritually and materially. Even Shankaracharya has composed many prayers glorifying Ganga. And Madhvacharya says, Varahe Vama Padam Tad Anyeshu Dakshinam Padam Kalpeshu Bhagavan Ujja Hara Trivikramaha. So apne, it just mentions that by his right foot, he's standing on his right foot and extending his left to the edge of the universe. Lord Vamana became known as Trivikrama. He performed 3 heroic deeds. Trivikrama. Vikrama means that kind of an activity. So then Dhruva Maharaj, he is an exalted devotee of the Lord, all of us know. He's called Autanapadi, son of Uttanapada. So he, because of his determination to execute the vows of devotion service, he understood that, Dhruva Maharaj understood that Ganga's waters, they wash the Supreme Lord, his lotus feet. Whose lotus feet? Bhagavato Asmat Kula Devata. Every family has a Kula Devata. So their Kula Devata is Vamana. Kula Devata is Supreme Lord Vishnu. So the Lord Vishnu's lotus feet has been washed by Ganga. Therefore, Dhruv Maharaj every day accepts the water on his head with great devotion. How is it mentioned here? Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Klidyamana Anta Hridayaha. His heart has been softened, the core of the heart. Klidyamana Anta Hridayaha. Inside of his heart is softened by devotion service. So we should know that when we perform devotion service, the heart becomes softened. We become soft-hearted towards Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and we become hard-hearted towards Maya. So that is a natural benefit of performing devotional service. It is mentioned that Anushavanam Utkrisyamana Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Klidyamana Antahrideha. His heart is softened to the core by the devotional service which has been constantly performing. Charanara Vindodakam, water that has washed the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So Ganga's greatness comes by this, and his eyes, they started filling up. He started crying. Roma Pulaka Kulakaha, he had ecstasy on his body. Bashpa Kalaya, with tears in his eyes. And Paramadarena, with great reverence, he accepted the water of Ganga on his head. With great reverence, he accepted. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example is given in the purport that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to listen to the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruv Maharaj when he was residing at Jagannath Puri. He used to go and hear from Gadadhar Pandit at Tota Gopinath temple. So it just shows the greatness of Dhruv Maharaj. Then they talk about from Dhruvaloka. You talk about the Saptarshi Mandala, Saptarshi Loka, Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Vashishta. There is some other Kalpa, there are other names also mentioned. So these are the 7 Rishis, Saptarshis. And from Dhruvaloka, it goes to the planet of the Saptarishis. It is mentioned here. Tato Prabhupada mentions in the purport also in the previous verse, that is the 3rd verse of the 17th chapter of the 5th canto, that there are many people who want to merge in the Brahma Jyoti. Beneath Dhruvaloka are the 7 planets occupied by the 7 sages, Saptarishi. And they all therefore carry the holy water of Ganga on their heads. From Dhruvaloka, they carry it on their heads. So, for a person who is at the platform of devotional service, everything else is less important. And Sridhar Swami mentioned that only by achieving pure devotional service of the Lord can one give up all other engagements as insignificant. And worshipping the Ganga, receiving it on the head, partaking of it, bathing in it, all are limbs of these various devotion service which can help us in our Krishna consciousness. Tato aneka sahasra koti vimana nika Sankula Devayane Avataranti Du Mandala Avarya Brahma Sadane Nipatati. From there, in hundreds and hundreds of Sahasra Koti, thousands and crores of celestial planes, Divya Vimana, Vimana Anika, Koti, Vimana Anika. Anika meaning is a contingent of airplanes, it's groups and groups and arrays of airplanes. This water from the Supreme Lord's lotus feet fell onto Dhruvaloka, Vishnupadi. From there it went to the Saptarshiloka, and from there it was carried in many celestial planes to Chandraloka. Indu Mandalam is Chandraloka. From there, where does it go? Brahma Sadane, the abode of Lord Brahma. Brahma Sadane. And then what happens? It is above Sumeru Parvata. Brahma Sadhana is above Sumeru Parvata. It falls down on this Mount Meru. So, how the Ganga water reaches various planets from there is explained here in Prabhupada mentions. Celestial airplanes carry the water from the planets of the sages to the other planets. So-called material scientists, Prabhupada was, he used to consider material scientists and Mayavadis his favorites. He would have problems. He would kick them with his arguments, and that is also his mercy. So he says that so-called advanced scientists are trying to go to higher planets. At the same time, they're experiencing power shortage on Earth. So if they're actually capable scientists, they can go to airplane by their own capabilities. They could personally go, but they're not able to do so. So now Prabhupada is saying that having now given up their moon excursion, they're attempting to go to other planets, but without success. The reality is, even now the moon excursions are happening. I recently read somewhere that Elon Musk, the famous billionaire or multi-billionaire, trillionaire probably, he was planning to colonize Mars. So that is a plan. But Prabhupada wrote as long back as 1961 that one cannot go to any of these planets except through consciousness. And from, so we reached till now that from the Lord's lotus feet piercing Karanodaka, Ganga is entering the universe. From there she enters Dhruvaloka, then there to the Saptarshiloka. From Saptarshiloka it is carried in billions and billions of Sahasra Koti Vimana, Anika. And from there it is taken to Indu Mandala, which is the Chandraloka, which is the planet of the moon. And finally, it reaches Brahma's abode atop Mount Meru. And on the top of Mount Meru, Tatra Chaturda Abhidiyamana Chaturbir Namabis Chaturdisham Abhispandanti Nada Nadipatim Eva Abhiniveshati Sita Alagananda Chakshur Bhadrati. So on top of the Meru, the Ganga divides into 4 branches. It is very interesting that Nada Nadipatim is the ocean, falls into the ocean, which is the, in one sense, the husband of the rivers. So Abhinivashati enters the ocean by 4 names: Sita, Alagananda, Chakshu, and Bhadra. So these 4 names, they flow into the ocean. Then the explanation is given how from each of these Sita, Alagananda, Chakshu, and Bhadra, how they, which river they fall into, which ocean they go into, which part of the ocean. So one goes into the saltwater, ocean of saltwater in the west, and 2 in the saltwater in the west, and 1 in north. And this finally mentioned about Alakananda. Alakananda flows from the southern side of Brahmapuri, Brahma Sadhana. It goes over various mountain tops and everything, falls on the Hemakota and Himakota. And from the top of the mountains, they fall into the tract of land known as Bharata Varsha, which also she inundates. And from then, the Ganga falls into the ocean of salt in the south. Dakshinasyam dishi jaladhim abhipravishati, enters into the southern side of the ocean. So people who bathe in the Ganga are very, very fortunate. It's mentioned that when they bathe in the Ganga, it's not very difficult for them. With every step, results of performing great sacrifices like the Rajasya and Ashwamedha Yajna. So bathing in the Ganga is effectively non-different from conducting any of this. So Prabhupada mentions in this that beautifully he concludes the purport saying that most people in India are still inclined to bathe in the Ganges, and there are many places where they can do so. At Prayag, many thousands of people gather during the month of January to bathe in the confluence of the Ganga and the Yamuna. And afterward, many of them go to the confluence at Bay of Bengal. Ganga Sagar Mela is there every year. They bathe there also. So there's a very special facility, Prabhupada says, for all the people of India, that they can bathe in the water of the Ganges and at so many places of pilgrimage. It's a very special facility offered to the people of Ganga. And to take it forward, it is mentioned that the dynasty of Lord Ramachandra's forefathers is given in the 7th chapter. The descendants of King Manadatta are mentioned, where it concludes with King Harishchandra and how he left for Godhead. And Harishchandra's son was Rohita, so his dynasty is there. In the dynasty of Rohita, there was a king named Sagara. The son of Rohita was Harita, son of Harita was Champa, son of Champa was Sudeva, the son of Sudeva was Vijaya. Vijaya's son was Bharuka, and Bharuka's son was Brika. So Brika had a son Bahuka, who was greatly disturbed by his enemies. So he left home with his wife and went to the forest. So when he died there, his wife wanted to accept the principles of Sati. But the Brahmanas, especially a sage named Aurva, found that she was pregnant and forbade her to do so. Still, the co-wives of Bahuka, they never had any children, just like Chitraketu's wife. They poisoned Krutadyuti's son. Co-wives of Bahuka gave poison with her food, but still her son was born with the poison. Therefore, his name was Sagara. Sa means with, and Gara means poison. So that is the name. So he was a great king. He performed Ashwamedha Yajna. He had two wives, Sumati and Kesini. Then during the Ashwamedha Yajna, Indra stole the horse. That is not surprising for most of us reading Bhagavatam. Anybody does Ashwamedha, Rajasuya Yajna, Indra gets involved. So Indra stole his sacrificial horse. And while searching for the sacrificial horse, the sons of Sumati, they dug up the surface of the earth. And in this way, eventually the Sagara's sons did it. So Sagara, or the ocean, was formed. So they met a great personality, Kapila Deva, meditating at Kapila Deva Ashram, Kapila Muni Ashram. And we also know Janu Muni was also meditating, and how Ganga passed through his ashram. Janu Muni Ashram also we see on the Parikrama Marg, in the Navdeep Mantal Parikrama. So the sons of Sagara, through Sumati, they attacked Kapila Deva, saying he's the one who stolen the horse. But they were all burned to ashes. Now, how did they burn to ashes? It's very interesting how it is mentioned. They said, Chauraha, they called him. No? Esha Vaji Haras Chauraha. Vaji is horse. He's the one who's stolen the horse. So kill him. Hanyatam, Hanyatam. Iti Shashti Sasrenaha. 60,000 of them. They attacked him with weapons. And Unmimesha, he just opened his eyes at that time. Munihi. Unmimesha tada Munihi. And Swashariraginaha tavan Mahendra Krita Chetasaha Mahat Vyatikrama Vasmasat Abhavan Kshanat. In 1 second, they were immediately burned to ashes because they disrespected. So the fire within the bodies of the sons of Sagar Maharaj became so much hotter that all of them burned to ashes. The fire's increased heat. Prabhupada mentions in the purport. This is the 11th shloka of the 8th chapter of the 9th canto, 9, 8, 11. The fire increased in heat because of their misbehavior towards a great personality. So this is called Mahat Vyatikrama. You are performing offense to a great personality. And what happened was, just because they insulted the great personality, their body burned to ashes. So later on, Sagar Maharaj, we said, also all the sons of Sumati were burnt, and there was Keshini, his second wife. Through him, Sagar Maharaj had one son called Asamanjasa. Asamanjasa was somebody who was a mystic yogi in previous birth. And he displayed his siddhi. He tried to prove that Acharan Garhitam. He wanted to show that in the society, Garhitam Loka, he was behaving in a very bad way. So what he used to do as children, he used to push them into the river Sarayu and kill them. So it was like that. So we also know about King Vena is like that. So then what happened? Asamanjasa was Jati Smara. So he did not forget his previous birth. So he brought back all the sons to life, and then he left that place immediately. He went to meditate. So then Amsuman, the grandson of Maharaj Sagara, he searched for the horse, and he finally saw the horse. He folded his palms before Kapila Muni and offered prayers. And Amsuman offers very, very wonderful prayers to Kapila Muni. And then when Amsuman had sufficiently glorified the Lord, the great sage Kapila, he told him that Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashvoyam Niyatam Vatsa Pitamaha Pashustava Imecha Pitaro Dagda Gangambor Hanti Netarat. but your forefathers, this sacrificial animal you can take back, but your forefathers can be there. They have been burned to sin, burned to ashes. They can be delivered only by Ganges water. Gangambor Hanti Netarat. Only the rivers, waters of Ganga can deliver them. So, and then what happened? Amshuman's son was Dilipa. He also could not succeed. And Dilipa's son was Bhagiratha. So he performed great austerities to bring Mother Ganga into the material world. And Mother Ganga basically did not want to take all the sinful reactions of people. So she gave two conditions. First, she wanted some suitable male to be able to control her waves. And second, she did not want to keep the sinful reactions that she was getting. So Bhagirata performed severe austerity. Therefore, it's called Bhagirathas Tasya Sutas Tepe Sumahat Tapaha. Sumahat. Very, very great austerity. There is a usage in South India called Bhagiratha Prayatna, which means such a great effort that one has to happen. So Ganga Devi was very pleased, and she said, I will give you my benedictions. Varadasmite, Prasanna Varadasmite, I will give you Vara. So then she is asking the question, Kopi Dharita Vegam Patayantu me Mahitale, Anyata Bhutalam Bitva Nirpa Yase Rasatalam. What happens if somebody doesn't arrest my flow? I will pierce the earth and go down to Rasatala and Patala. The flow of Ganga is so powerful. So Kim Chaham na bhuvam yase naramaya amrijanti agam prajami tadagam kwaham prajam tatra vichintayam. I don't want to go down to planet Earth again because people in general will bathe in my water and cleanse themselves of reactions. Where will these sinful reactions accumulate in me? How shall I free from them? So this is mentioned. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport very beautifully. We'll just take a couple of minutes more and conclude. That the spiritual master, after accepting a disciple, must take charge of the disciple's past sinful activities, and being overloaded must sometimes suffer. So the disciples, we should be very careful not to overload our sinful reactions on the spiritual master. We should perform our activities very, very carefully. And the poor spiritual master is kind and merciful enough to accept a disciple and partially suffer. But Krishna neutralizes the reactions of the sinful deeds of such a servant of Krishna. Why? Because he preaches his glories. Bhavitanajame tasmad anya priyatoro bhavi. Because he preaches his glories, Krishna is pleased with him. Even Mother Ganga feared that how will this burden of sins be counteracted? And very beautifully, Sri Bhagirata Vacha, Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta, Brahmishta Loka Pavanaha, Haranti Agam Teanga Sangat, Teshvaste Agabhit Dharihi. So I will read this translation beautifully by Srila Prabhupada. Those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, Brahmishtaha, they are following the principles of the Vedic scriptures. Loka Pavanaha, they are engaged in delivering the entire world. Patitanam Pavanebhyo, what we say. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, then the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. Tomara Hridaya Sada Govinda Vishnu. So in their heart, in the core of their hearts, they carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Agabhit is called Agabhit Harihi. Hari can destroy the sinful reactions. So there is no problem. So it is mentioned here, Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swantastena Gadabhrita in the first canto, 13th chapter, about Vidur Maharaj, Vidur ji, Yush Maharaj mentions. Because saintly devotees always keep the Lord within the core of their hearts, they can perfectly cleanse the holy places of all sinful reaction. Therefore, it is important that we worship saintly personalities as much as we can worship the Ganga. Lord Shiva was satisfied by great austerities by Ashvatyushyata. Is called Ashutosh. Very, very quickly he is satisfied. So he approached King Bhagirath and approached him with this request to sustain the forceful waves of Ganga. Tatheti Rajnabhihitam Sarvalokahitas Shivaha Dadarvahito Gangam Pada Puta Jalam Harihe. Because he had washed the lotus feet of the Lord Hari, it gets purified and gets the purifying capabilities. So therefore, with great attention, he sustained avahitaha. The dhara is dhara, he sustained, and avahitaha with great attention. What did he sustain with great attention? Pada puta jalam harihi. Water which is transcendently pure. Puta means pure, because it is emanating from the toes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Then Sagara took a chariot and Mother Ganga followed him through many countries until they reached the ashes of Bhagiratha's forefathers, the sons of Sagara. Thus they were sprinkled with the water from the Ganges. Because they had offended a great personality, the sons of Sagara had been burned by the heat in their bodies, but being sprinkled with the water from Ganga, all of them became eligible to go to the heavenly planets. What is then to be said of those who use the water of Mother Ganga to worship it? So finally it is mentioned, Bhasmi Bhutanga Sangena Swaryata Sagaratmajaha Kim Puna Shraddhaya Devim Sevante Yadhrita Vrataha. Because Mother Ganges emanates from the lotus toe of the Supreme Personality of God, Ananta Deva. She is able to liberate one from the material bondage. Therefore, what is described herewith about her is not at all wonderful. There is nothing great, natural, because it's coming from Lord's lotus feet. Mother Ganga can purify. And then this portion is concluded by Srila Prabhupada in the 15th verse of the 9th chapter of the 9th canto. Sanniveshya mano yasmin shraddhaya munayo malaha trigunyam dushyajam hitva sadyo yatas tadatmatam. Being freed from material lusty desires, great sages devote their minds fully to the Lord, and they are liberated from material bondage without difficulty. Thus they become transcendently situated, acquiring the spiritual quality of the Lord. So in this whole portion of devotees and Ganga, who is ultimately glorified? It is the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna himself. He is the one who is glorified. So this is how the Ganga enters our universe. We describe from the lotus feet of Vamanadeva. She comes down to Dhruvaloka, Vishnupadi. From there, she goes to the planet of the Saptarshis. From there to Indu Mandala. She is carried into the moon planet by hundreds and thousands of celestial planes. Sastra Koti, Vimana, Anika, contingent of planes. They carry the Ganga. From there, she falls on to Brahma's Brahma Sadhana atop Sumeru. And from there, this rest of the description that we've had is mentioned. She falls into Bharata Varsha. There could be different kalpas also. There could be different sequences also. But eventually we see in the purifying capability of Ganga, and she gave the two conditions that she will enter the universe only through some dhara can be sustained. Otherwise, she'll go straight into Rasatala and Patala. Therefore, Lord Shiva arrested her flow with his jata because he had devotion to the Supreme Lord and she had washed the feet of his Lord Vamana. And she's reassured by Bhagirath that whoever purifies such people will have to take the sin, so that can be nullified by the pure souls of the Supreme Lord who bathe in the Ganga, because they are themselves purified by their being in touch with the Supreme Lord. So eventually in the analysis, it is not Ganga who really purifies, it is the Supreme Lord who purifies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
We can take a couple
so can we take few questions, Prabhuji?
A couple of questions we can take. I'm sorry I stretched my time a little bit, 5 minutes, 7 minutes extra. Sorry. Because I had to cover 2 cantos. It's not 1 canto.
So can we ask Prabhuji some questions?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So first question is from Parmanand Ramdas Prabhuji, and he's saying that it is mentioned chapter in the dynasty of Anshuman 9.9.18. Damayanti was the wife of Saudas,
Hmm.
Saudas, but in 9.9.24, Madhyanti is named as wife of Saudas. Kindly clarify.
Um, which chapter is she? First, you said ninth chapter, no?
Yes, Fuji, 9 Canto 9 chapter 18 verse and 9 Canto 9 chapter 24 verse.
18 and 24. So let's just go to 18. This is Nala's wife, Damayanti. श्रुतो भागीरथा जज्ञ तस्य नाभो अपरो भवत् सिन्धुद्वीपस्ततस्तस्मात् अयुतायस्ततो भवत् ऋतुपर्णा नलो सको यो विद्यामय नल दत्वाक्ष हृदयं तस्मै सर्वकामास्तु तत्सुतम्. So Nala is mentioned. His story comes in Mahabharata also. This is Nala's friend Rituparna. Then you're talking about which verse you say?
9.9.18 and 9.9.24.
Okay, 9.9.18. Sarvakama had a son named Sudasa. Sudasa's son was Saudasa. Saudasa was Damayanti's husband. Okay, this is verse 18. Which is the other one you said?
24.
24. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just confirm. I don't have a ready answer. I'm just consulting superior sources of knowledge. Last try. I don't have an answer. I'm sorry. I can only speculate that it is both are her names. But Bhagavatam will obviously not be saying wrong. There are only two explanations. One is both are her names. Damayanti can be called Madayanti also. And the other option could be that these could happen in two different ages, with two different kalpas. This is a standard explanation given for such variations in data in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Not data, information, because every information data is useful. So I don't have a direct explanation from whatever sources I had. Damayanti and Madhyanti apparently seem to be the same person, Saudasa's wife. So I'm sorry, I can't give you a better answer.
So can I proceed for the next question, Roji?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Shanti Prabhu. no, Prabhuji, he is asking, when Bhagirath prayed for Mother Ganga, how is that she would be affected by the sins of the forefathers of Bhagirath? She is usually unaffected by the sins.
Yeah, she definitely is unaffected by the sins, but it is to the fact that she is getting this capability from the Lord's lotus feet, which means she's not the one who is purifying. It is the Supreme Lord Himself who is purifying the sinful reactions of people. Nobody else can. This is mentioned by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Because he's fearing it, it is clearly indicated that it is she herself may get affected. But because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is purifying those people, and those who are purified by worshipping the Supreme Lord, they are also bathing in it. They get the capability of potency to counteract these sinful reactions that come in there. So in the eventual analysis, it is Krishna who's Uttama Shloka. He's being glorified. The Supreme Lord's purifying capabilities. Krishna is called Shuddham and Apapa Viddham. He cannot be touched by sin, and whatever touches him is purified. Like Kubja approaches him with lusty intentions, he fulfills the desire and purifies her. So that is the nature of the Supreme Lord, and therefore that is being glorified here by showing how the Ganga is fearful. She knows her position that on her own she cannot glorify, she cannot purify these people of their sins. But because she is emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord, she is confident. Yet she is mentioning so that she is scared of getting the sinful reactions because she knows it is not her and she is acting as the instrument. But at the same time, those who are worshipping the Supreme Lord's lotus feet otherwise, they're themselves bathing in her and purifying the sinful reactions of others. Thus, in the eventual analysis, it is only the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is actually glorifying these people. Is that fine?
Yes, Prabhuji. So next question is from BKD. He is
We'll
asking,
close this with this question. If there's one Mataji's question, you can take. We already answered two Prabhus, no? Or one Prabhu,
okay,
what
Prabhuji.
Mataji we answer?
Today we have questions from Prabhuji's side only.
Go ahead.
There is only one Mataji, who is Sumana Mataji. I asked that question.
And if there are
So
two
it is
Prabhu's
from BKD
questions taken,
Prabhuji.
then you take one Mataji question.
Prabhuji, no Mataji is asking question today. Only one
They know
question was
everything.
there.
They know everything.
No.
Ganga, na, they know.
So I asked that one actually. So let's check if in between answering the question if someone asks. So currently BKD has a question that what is the value of doing chanting or hearing the chanting or writing the chanting, like writing the Krishna mantra? Is that equal importance?
Writing the chanting is very, very good. It is Lekhanam. Like many devotees do that even for this Ram Temple inauguration, many people were writing. I remember as children, we used to write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. My body comes from South India. So we used to write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in books and give it to the Shankaracharya because there's no concept of what is Shankaracharya and what is the Vaishnava philosophy. But end of the day, it is Lord Ramchandra's name. It is all potent. It's all limbs of devotion. But we can be very clear that Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi, Krishna says. So chanting of the holy names of the Lord is very, very powerful. And Kalautat Hari Kirtanat, glorification of the Supreme Lord is accepted. And this is also Kirtanam. Writing about the Supreme Lord is also Kirtanam, glorifying Him. Writing books about the Lord, giving lectures about the Lord, hearing lectures about the Lord, Shravanam Kirtanam, all accepted. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go around writing the names of Hare Krishna on the paper. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing Kirtan on the way. He would not even give lectures. He had major philosophical discussions with Prakashanand Saraswati and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he heard, most of the time he was hearing. He was hearing from Ramanand Rai, he was hearing from Nityanand Prabhu, he was hearing from Gadadhar Pandit. He was hearing more and taking part in Kirtan. So he never did this. So because Mahaprabhu did not really pursue this or direct us so much, he himself had only 8 verses that he left behind for us, Shikshashtakam. So it is more important for us to therefore chant the holy names of the Lord through Kirtan and Japa and hear it attentively, not just chant, but hear. So that is what is recommended for us. Lekhanam, if you have the time, you can do Lekhanam. Like there is one Madhva saint in the his Paryaya is getting over, it just got over, I think. He asked, he's starting now. He's starting uh, Sugunendra Tirtha Swami, I think is his name. So he's asked us to do Koti Gita Lekhana Yajna. 1 crore Gita shlokas, 700 shlokas, one person writes, like 100 people, 1 crore people writing, or something like that. He's got his, his vow. So Lekhanam is good. It will help us. Writing is remembering, Srila Prabhupada says. So when you write, you can remember. So when you study shlokas, this is a good technique. If you want to learn shlokas, one nice method is to repeat the shloka, then write it down. Then we will be able to remember it better. Those who are gifted can memorize it by themselves, but for not so intelligent people like us, like me, writing will be a good idea. Although I'm lazy, so I don't write, but I think writing is a very good way to remember. You want to remember shlokas, it's a good way to remember. But chanting the holy name, if you have the opportunity to chant the holy name, please chant, because your Gurudev has given you the vow of chanting 16 rounds on beats, not writing 16 into 108 times Mahamantra. So follow that path. Is that fine?
Yes, Guruji. So next question is from Bhumika Mataji. The question is little long. So she's asking, in Durga Saptasati, it is given that the entire world and Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh is created by Ma Durga. But in Shiv Mahapuran, it is given that world Brahma, Vishnu is created by Lord Shiv. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that everything is created by Shiv Vishnu. Please acknowledge us with this.
If somebody tells you, go get some milk at 5 o'clock, and somebody tells you at 5:30, it tells you at 5 o'clock, get milk by 9 o'clock. Same person comes and tell you 5:30 that you go to the temple at 9 o'clock. And the same person comes at 6 o'clock and says, forget that, you sit down at home and take care of your grandmother. Which instruction will you take as foremost? You will take the culminating instruction, which comes towards the end as the most important instruction, because it has to be done. It is right now. Forget that, forget that, forget that. So similarly, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Vyasadev himself is saying. It was written by Vyasadev in his ripened state of Vedic wisdom, mature state of Vedic wisdom, because after writing all these Puranas whose names you took, he was still dissatisfied. And Narada Muni came and asked him questions saying, could this be the reason you are feeling this lamentation or feeling this grief, this distress, this misery? Then Vyasadeva says that, yes, I have not glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead sufficiently. And that is what is mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he says clearly, therefore, that Eteja Amshakala Pumso Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. It's very, very clear. There he says, it was a ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, and Krishna's confirmed as God by him, or Vyasadeva. Therefore, we accept it. And it is called Bhagavatam. It is called Bhagavad Gita. It is not called Krishna Gita or Krishna Puran. Other Puranas have their own names. So we are very clear that Vyasadeva had no confusion as to who is God. Therefore, we accept. Everything else is secondary. Is that fine?
Yes, Guruji.
I think I should
Last
conclude now.
question.
It's been a long time.
Okay. One last question, Guruji.
I don't know.
From
I was told 7 to 7:30. I've already stretched. So I don't want to take everybody's
Guruji, it is
time.
very nice to hear Krishna Katha from devotees like you, who is like fill the hearts with joy and nectar, Guruji, and the whole day is enlightened with nectar, and we feel extra energy for that. So it is very pleasing project to us. And this 21 days marathon is a great thing which has been initiated by the devotees of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Yes.
So that is helping many devotees and speakers like you, Prabhuji, who is giving Krishna Katha, the transcendental message that you are providing from the Bhagavatam, is filling the hearts of millions, Prabhuji. And already we are getting appreciation from many devotees for the classes, and many has just shared the realization that how it transformed a little bit of their life. So thank you,
We
Prabhuji,
must
for
be
this
listening to other
wonderful.
speakers. That is what is helping them.
Yes, Raji. Everyone is helping, but still there are some special persons, special devotees like you, Broji, who tells philosophy in such a way that it must be touch our heart, Broji, with story and with philosophy.
I just want to say
So,
one thing to uh, that the two questions by Yokeshwari Mataji. It says that I love to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but really hard to understand, and how to get ourselves be more disciplined at chanting Lord Krishna's name. So I want to request you that Mataji can post this question on the group, the same group. She can give you the question. You can post the question on the group, and I can answer, or other devotees can answer. Because now I'd like to conclude. We're going to have a Narasimha Japa now. Some devotees are chanting, so I just want to go for that. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srimad
yes,
Bhagavatam
yes,
ki
yes.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Is Giri Jai. So, devotees, Hare Krishna, please hold on a second. I have a little announcement. 15 days is covered, so more 6 days are left, and I hope all of you are enjoying the nectar of 21 days marathon. And tomorrow is very, very special, devotees. You know who is going to come tomorrow? Any guess? The one and only star, His Grace Amog Lila Das. So Prabhuji is going to come tomorrow. So he has his class from tomorrow 7 to 7:30. So all are requested to not miss the class by any chance, because the room will be going to be filled within minutes or two. I know the room capacity is 300, so it will be filled within minute or two only. So whenever I post the link, just try to join. Okay, and we have need some space also, so that Prabhuji could also enter. So devotee, some days back I was asking that there is a seva opportunity in ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya. I hope all of you remember the same. So actually we are looking for some ambassadors for ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya. So ambassadors, what will be their work? They'll promote our courses and we'll give some revenue to them. For the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, we want to spend, or we want to grow the teachings of acharyas, of the books of Srila Prabhupada, so that everyone in this world get a chance to read Srila Prabhupada books. So for that we have taken one initiative, the devotees who are connected to ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, so they can become an ambassador only in India for a particular state. The criteria must be that you have a good social media following, so that you can promote our courses. Or if you don't have, please find someone who can help us with the promotion of courses. Because we have so many courses, like more than 100 plus courses we have, live courses, self-study courses, many things. Diploma in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, diploma in Bhagavad Gita, diploma in Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhav Gita, Madhurya Kadamini, and many courses. So we need to market them so that devotees can get a chance to hear them. So I request you to find someone who can help us in the same. So better you find someone who has a good social media following. Okay, and if you have, you can directly contact with me. My name is Rupan. I hope you will find my number in the community admin list. So anyone who have the contacts or who can do the same can directly call me or they can message me. And apart from that, you can serve voluntarily now to IBMV, as now it has been 15 days with you. So if anyone want to serve voluntarily to IBMV, and they must be very strict. Any seva if they are taking, they must be very strict. So the volunteer seva should be very strict. So those who can dedicate 1 or 2 hours of their time for ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, they can just let me know. And today I will be making one group. I will circulate the link to the communities also. So who want to do voluntary seva can directly join the group. So I will provide them the sevas. There are many seva opportunities to work with the IBMV. So devotees, so very, very thank you for attending the class and also hearing the announcement. So I hope everyone liked the lecture by His Grace Rishi Prabhu. And tomorrow Mogla Prabhu is going to come. So please tighten your seat belt, be prepared and join the lecture. Hare Krishna.